That's what I've been doing all week. I feel like I've been boxing everybody, rumbling the world, moving and, what I mean, slipping, dodging, all that. Welcome back to Okoye Media, y'all. For those who haven't really been keeping up with what's going on, there's been a lot of discussions about pass rush and how to address that and how the Cowboys need to go about it. And there's been some fights about it as well. And as you guys know, that's just the nature of the business when it comes to content creators. We all feel passionate about what we do, and we all want to make sure, we are getting what's best for this team. So, with that said, I've been diving into the film something crazy just to make sure that people understand, like, hey, we need to know what's coming in the draft, what we have available via free agency, and also, what can we do as far as, trades, things like that. We've been talking about that all week, and I think those of you who follow kind of understand where we've been. Make sure you hit the like button coming in. There's 18 of y'all in here, but also make sure after you leave this video, head over to Crown Global Media. If you don't follow them already, make sure you shoot them a follow, but also watch them, because in about 2 o'clock Eastern, which is in about 12 minutes, the video that we recorded this morning should be live. And I was on that show this morning. Shout out to Vach. Shout out to Brian Broaddus. Once again, my condolences to Brian Broaddus. He lost someone close and near and dear to him. Let him explain that if he hasn't. But shout out to those guys over there. It was a great show. And we were addressing this topic, just talking about how the Cowboys should go about addressing pass rush this year. So let's get into it. Let me give everybody a warm welcome, everybody who jumped into the chat. Make sure, I hope all 30 of y'all are hitting the like button already. Alpha Mason, what up? Dak Owens, what's up? He said hit that like button too. Make sure you do it. Melvin Baldwin, what's good? And Warren Duncan, how you doing, brother? Oh, Common Sense Lab. Oh, man, what's up, bro? I remember you. He said, what up, Okoye? Thanks for the respect and grown men-ish the other day. Oh, no, that's always going to be it. I'm not that guy. Just to address that once again, I know I've already, I don't like to keep apologizing for shit. It's not about that. The reason I apologize is not just because of, me moving a certain way with Lou, but it's also because of my character. I don't want to come off that way. But there was a buildup between the days, the tweets, and all that. So it wasn't just what was said on that video that made that transpire. It was like, we don't know each other. So there was friction, and I didn't know where that friction was coming from. So sometimes when we get into the heat of the battle, things get rocky like that. And the other is I might not look like it, but I'm a grandfather. I'm 43 years old. So I'm just not used to, no one talks to me crazy. I don't talk to people too crazy either. Even though on Twitter it may seem that way because I seem like the feisty guy on Twitter. But when you talk to me and I talk to you, I very rarely talk hype to someone. If I'm talking by myself on this show and I'm passionate, that's different. If I'm watching the game, that's different. But when I'm talking to another human being, you very rarely see me come off crazy. Now I will get there if they get there, but I'm not that guy. So I'm not here to, rehash that. I just look at it like I don't have a personal issue with Lou at all. I never did. And I don't have a problem saying that in front of everybody, because that's not what I'm here for. I don't get on shows to try to make it like, are we going to get views because that to me, that watch Zeus Network if you want to see people do, tear each other down and things like that. This space and this niche is big enough for everybody, where you don't need to shock jock or tear each other apart in order to make your bones in it, if you're authentic and you know how to do the work. And I feel like those guys are authentic. They do the work. So I'm not here to try to kick anything out of their hand or do anything towards them. So once we got into that, which is not why I jumped on the show, but once we got into that, that's why I rerouted and I said, look, let me retract all that. Let's start over, because that's not what I came there for real. Otherwise, I would have just called you. If I got an issue, I'm going to call you, or I'm going to come see you if I got to. We don't have that kind of issue. You're not bothering my money. You're not bothering my kids. Why would we? And we both two men with kids, and I got grandkids. So it's like, why would we be having that type of, that type of exchange? You know what I'm saying? So, we addressed that, and we moved on. We moved on. Tryon Church, what's good? What's up with you? He said, one of the best in the space, Data Yoda, Dada Yoda. I like the name. Thank you. I appreciate that. Glad you're doing more content, brother. Honestly, it's the space. Like, I had to move. Everything ain't right all the time, right? You got to find what fits. And What fit for me is this space. Like once I moved my studio to my basement instead of my garage, it got a lot warmer. Obviously, I'm still a little chilly. You see, I got the jacket on, but it got warmer. Obviously, because we don't have, there's not like central heat running to the garage, but the basement's cool, right? So it's warmer, number one, but number two, this just feels different. Like I feel like coming down here and hanging out. I never really hung in none of my man caves, and then the other studios for the years that you guys weren't seeing me. If I had to drive to a studio to do a show, you probably weren't going to get a show because after I run around and do everything I need to do, like I got a client with fiberglass in his eye right now. I have to drive an hour to Philly, and then I have to go pay bills in one of the facilities, right? Right after I leave here. So this won't be a long one. But if I had to do all that, run around for 10 hours, then come home and then get dressed and drive to the studio, even though it was down the street, I just didn't feel like doing it. Getting up and going back out the house type thing, right? It's a lot of work. But coming downstairs and just sitting, watching TV and, cutting up film, that's my favorite pastime anyway. So now it's a lot easier for me to go live. So that's why you see me more. And I'm glad you guys appreciate it because I'm going to keep them coming. This will probably be my most active year since I've ever started this. I'll be honest. So far, this is my most active week ever since I've started this because I keep coming down here and just sitting down. And then I wasn't going live today. It was just like I did the show with Vaj and Brian this morning. And then I was just like, okay, I'm not leaving. I'm going to just sit here and finish working. But like I said, those who weren't on here, make sure you hit the like button. Number one, make sure you share it. That's number two. But go out to Crown Global Media. Give those guys a follow, and they have Crown Global clips as well. So follow both of those, and also make sure you watch that video right after this because that my video that we just did is live in about 6 minutes. So after this video, don't get offline. Just go ahead and head over there and holler at those guys, man. And make sure you shoot them a like and subscribe now and hit the notification button. And we'll be doing a lot more content with those guys too. I enjoyed myself thoroughly over there for sure. He said it would be insane if the Cowboys could land one of these two guys. They can definitely land one of those two guys. It just where's the right spot? Like, do you take them at 12 or do you try to wait and see if one or both of those guys are available at 20? That's the question you have. But watching Bain and how ready he is or he seems to be, is he a guy that you come and bring in and say, hey, you can take all the chips and triple teams? I don't think he's that yet because he's a rookie, right? He'll get there. But is he a guy that can come in with the cash that we have currently with Quentin Williams and Casey and those guys where he's not asked to be the force guy there, but just one of the guys? I think he can come in and do that quite well from day one. So I think I look at Bain on this team as a 5 to 8 sack guy. That doesn't mean he's going to do that anywhere he goes. He might do less if he's like Ezeraku, where he has to be the guy like Ezeraku had to be last year. He might not be that guy that can take all the attention. But if someone else has the attention, oh, yeah, he can definitely be one of those guys that can help on the other side and get you some hustle sacks. And on top of the hustles, you'll see both of those guys. Mesidor gets a little lazy with the hands late. Lou, shout out to Lou for catching that. He did catch it, and I caught it late in the game. I saw it. But Bain and Lou, both of them have pro-ready hands right now. So if you like some of the things you saw out of Sweat or any of the guys that we looked at pass rush wise, you'll love Bain and Mesidor's hands. That's what stands out early. And remember, they both were tutored by Jason Taylor. So, they are pro ready by all stretches of the imagination. I would think they're pro ready due to the fact that Jason Taylor is the one who tutored them. Right. Bro, we all family. That's a fact, church. He said, yeah, Cowboys Nation. I didn't know what you were saying. Warren says, I know this show going to be fire as it is always. I appreciate that, man. You sound so bored with it, though. There's 86 of y'all in here. Make sure I hit the like button. I know some of y'all just jumped on. I'll say it once again in about 4 minutes. There's a video going live on Crown Global Media. Make sure you guys go over there, shoot them a like, follow, hit the notification button, and make sure you watch that right after you leave this. There was a good interview this morning with somebody you guys might know. You know what I mean? You might want to watch it. But yeah, definitely gonna be busy. But I appreciate the fact that this show gonna be all right. Continue to prove it with the film, brother. Koye, keep pushing truth no matter how uncomfortable it makes folks feel. Oh, I ain't never gonna stop that. Like I'm truthful with my mom. My mama, be snapping on me, and I'm like, Mom, listen, that don't change what it is. What it is. It don't change what it is just because you're mad. You know what I mean? So Trust me on that one. Joe Martinez, he said, I have a funny feeling that Bain is going to get close to 9 to 10 sacks. I think he's capable. I think he's capable for sure. He said, hey, Grenard, nice. Grenard is healthy. When he's healthy, oh, Grenard is a problem when healthy. No joke. Grenard is nice, for sure. For sure, for sure. I'm not looking at Grenard film this moment. We'll do that probably later today when I come back home. But right now, we hitting Bain and Mesidor. Okoye, what it do, brother? Peace and blessings to everyone. What's up, Reezy? Appreciate you. Reezy, man, I got to get you a moderator wrench. I got to go live at least one time from YouTube so I can change the moderators. I don't know how to change them from these third-party sites. I use OBS sometimes, and here I'm using StreamYard. I don't think you can change them from here. Koye got the paid in full jacket. Oh, this that John? Oh, yeah, man. I got some. I don't even wear this, John. I ain't gonna lie. I wore it this morning because it's cowboy colors, but I don't wear it outside because it's expensive. And I'm like, I don't, where I'm going. I'm not going nowhere, so I'm not trying to, people will follow you. They'll follow you home. They see you got the wrong thing on. You know what I mean? So it ain't out of fear. It's just like if I'm not going somewhere that requires that, I'm not the type to wear, my lays outside. I don't do it. But I wore it down here because I knew I was going to be on the show, and I ain't had nothing else that was a cowboy blue that I felt like wearing. So I said, I'm going to wear this. And, a jacket-wise, I'm talking about. I'm glad you enjoyed fighting over film photos I made. Oh, yeah, that was you that did that? Oh, man, Germ, yeah, I remember that. He said it was dope watching y'all. Man, that was a nice pick. I was like, damn, whatever AI generator you used was accurate. I was like, that looked like you really took a picture of me, That was decent. Why was Foots cut up like a bag of dope, though? I'm like, you got Foots out here, no shirt on, cut up like a bag of dope in the picture, man. I'm like, damn, bro. You know what I mean? Why? Yeah, I mean, you could have gave me a 8-pack or something. You know what I mean? That would have been dope. I got work on it. He said, yeah, I felt that was more of an age gap misunderstanding than actual issue, but thanks. We definitely need more Okoye. Yo, I ain't going nowhere, man. He said, I watched Bain terrorize offenses all years. Give me him. That's facts. I didn't see his best games were against the toughest competition too. I watched it. This film is going to be against Ohio State, and I'm gonna get into it in a second. As soon as I get to the bottom of these shout outs, I will get the Bain film on. He said, "Hi, Koye, you are so real and have a positive attitude. Handle that very well." Yeah, I got there for a second, but I said even when I rewatched, while I was listening live, I didn't like it. But when I rewatched it, I liked it even less because, to be honest, he didn't even really curse at me. Like I said, it was the build up leading up to that day, and then we both had like a little attitude with each other before we even got on. So we should have addressed that before we started talking and acting like nothing ever happened. We should have just said, "Look, we had a dust up, blah blah blah. This is what happened. Let's get to it. Let's get to the film." We never did that. It's like if you bring two people who don't like each other around each other, and you're like, all right, let's play basketball, but y'all ain't shaking hands. People want to throw elbows. People start, you know what I mean? So I said that at the end. He never got a chance to say what he wanted to say, whether it was offline or online, back to me. So I could understand where his attitude came from, but that got nothing to do with me. For me, my end of it is what I own. I can't speak for him. I can speak for myself. But we both apologized to each other. And like I said, I called him yesterday. I told him the same thing I told him online. Like, you need help, I'm here. I don't know you to have a beef with you. I hate when people, whether it be with celebrities or just individuals, I'm not a he said, she said guy, and I ain't a gossipy guy. So if you come to me and you're talking about somebody that you claim you don't like, but you don't know them, you never spend time with that person. You don't know what they deal with, don't know what they go through. I really can't stand that. So I couldn't have a beef with Lou if I tried because I don't know him. You know what I mean? And we haven't sat and dealt with each other outside of this is content. But you're a real person. You eat, sleep, shit, breathe, have kids, have problems, have, lose people, gang people. Those things happen to everybody. So, until I know a person, I don't judge what I'm looking at until I know who I'm talking to. Regardless what anybody else says, you know what I'm saying, about the person. I still deal with you. Until I personally see something I don't like in you or about you, then I'll tell you. You know what I mean? He's like, hi, Koye. Oh, no, I read that. He said, I've watched Bain terrorize offenses all year. He said, he's there at 12 teams. Give me him at 12. If he's there at 12 teams, suck at drafting. I would take, I'm just saying, if he's there at 12, yeah, take him. But if Delane and Styles, either of those guys happen to be there at 12, I think they would win out for me. And then I would just gamble on what I'm going to do at 20. But if neither of those guys are there, yeah, I'm taking them for sure. Bro, we love your breakdowns. Bro, they love you back. Vach is the truth for bringing you on. Vach is always like, you might not see it. Like, we both been busy, and I'll step away. But Vach is always doing something behind the scenes to like help me out or motivate me. And sometimes it's not even about this is content. We really don't talk about me and Vach very rarely talk football, man. He'll call me. We talk about knives. We talk about wives, our ladies, things like that, places we want to travel, fighting techniques, things like we talk about man stuff, man, guns, whatever. You know what I mean? So that's what we talk about. You know what I mean? But we don't really talk football that often. But we do help each other out. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's a person that I know understands not only the things I deal with from this space, but understands the things I do outside of here. I don't really share who I am too often with many people, and not because I'm a private person or nothing. It's just I don't got time to I don't talk a lot to everybody. And you guys wouldn't think that, right? You would think I talk all the time. I really don't. If you talk to me, I will talk to you. But for the most part, I'm quiet. I get busy. I put my head down. I go do what I got to do. And I deal with a lot of people in our program that have schizophrenia. So I'm always head on a swivel, on point, ready to go there because these guys are either ex-military or ex-street or both. And they're all in my properties, bigger than me, but not in their right frame of mind at all times. So I'm always thinking like that. And then I come here to like kind of decompress. But it is what it is. I ain't mad at it. I love what I do. But at the same time, that's the mindset. That's why I'm not a talker. I don't talk a lot. You got coach energy. Yep, I'm definitely a coach. Well, if you guys want to see that, like go out to DRCO. I'm gonna put it in the chat for you. DRCO underscore Okoye on YouTube. I mean on IG, I'm sorry, not YouTube. But that's my IG, and you can see all of my fighters there. You can see the things that we work on, some of the drills. I don't share all my drills because coaches be stealing it and try to say they came up with it. But you can see the drills there. And a lot of fighters use me behind the scenes for these breakdowns. The reason you don't see fighter breakdowns is because I'll get so many strikes from MGM Grand and the fighters themselves. Like Tyson Fury tried to get my page taken down when I exposed his glove gate. That went viral. That's probably the highest viewed video I ever had, even more than Des Bryant Not Guilty. It went viral in 1 week. It got like 400,000 views in a week. But then I got a manual strike because YouTube had no problem with it being up. But I got a manual strike from MGM and Tyson Fury's team because they wanted it down. But that's how bad I broke down his glove gate. I broke down other fights that he did it in and showed like you are punching him with your pads in the side of your glove. Like I'm a trainer. I know there's no way. And then I just showed that. But they took that down. So I learned don't post boxing videos that often, breakdowns, because that'll get my page taken. So what I do is coaches will call me and they'll say, we're fighting this guy, break him down, break down his tendencies and send it to me. So I get paid to do that, like $500 a clip, $1,000 a clip. If you're going into camp, you'll send me your opponent and I'll break them down and tell you, what to do to them and what type of drills you should use to prepare for them. So that's what I'm known for in Philly. I'm glad, young man. I'm glad, young man. I'm glad. I hope y'all prosper. Hold on. I'm glad, young man. I'm trying to understand how you said it. You want us to prosper in this space. We can't tear each other up. I barely get I think you are some typos there, but I understand what you mean. I'm all for using third and trading up to say 9 to get the player we covet. Yeah, try to find a second. If we can get a second round pick before the draft, and we use that 20 in that second to jump up, or the 12 in the second round pick to jump up. Maybe the third works though, to jump up to 9. Then we get in Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese if Reese falls that far. Right, I would love that. Imagine if Bain and Easy Rock on the same side of the on the same side of the defense. Yeah, that would be crazy. I don't know how much Bain weighs. I got to check his weight because Bain might be able to play 4-eye too. He can give you both. I know Sam Williams can. Sam Williams was in the 335 in college. He's 270. When you look at Denver, they got 4-eye guys that's playing like at 285. And then you look at even Gary. Gary is a 4-eye flex guy, and that's the other thing people weren't talking about with Gary. Just because he's here doesn't mean he's automatically outside linebacker every snap. Gary, just like D-Law, has that 4-eye flex. You can push him inside with KC and Kenny Clark, on that line. Gary can definitely play the 4-eye if he needs to. Is he going to do that every play like a Ogbo would? No, but he can do it. Bain is a 12th pick. Mesidor is a 20 pick. I definitely take either player. You and me both. Your film showed why we shouldn't want Sweat. That's a fact. I mean, I don't want him, but like I said, it don't mean just because we disagree on wanting them doesn't mean I gotta have a problem with you. Okoye, you see Nick Harris, reporter, said Dallas is looking for Jaden Brooks and Aziz Al-Shahir. Which do you prefer? Jordan Brooks, I like Aziz Al-Shahar a lot, but I haven't watched enough Jordan Brooks film to know like which one do I want. But I know right now, out of bias, is Aziz because I've watched this film last year. But yeah, it's Aziz right now. But let's see. He said tutor by Jason by Jason and Joy Taylor. Joy Taylor ain't tutoring nuts. She's a energy vampire. She gonna take his soul, man. Good to see Okoye getting busy, man. I ain't going nowhere, man. Can't wait to see you in Crown Global Media. Yeah, that's gonna be a fun show, y'all. That was fun. I'm very humbled and gracious that they brought me on because I really do respect. You already know me and Vaj go back, but I respect what Broadus does too. Like Broadus is one of the first people to from the organization anyway that ever reached out to me and spoke to me before. And I like that's a nod. You know, when he did that, I said, "Oh, people are paying attention to my work," and that was definitely a vote of confidence that helped me out years ago. So I bang with Broadus, and we just never got a chance to actually verbally speak, but we've traded tweets from time to time. Which one has a higher ceiling in your opinion? I think that Bain has the higher ceiling and the higher floor. So Bain's coming in NFL ready, and I think once he gets the Vach peanut butter in the offseason, he'll be even better. I think Mesidor is, equal floor or a little lower the floor. I would say he's B and Bain is A coming in. But I think Mesidor definitely has a high ceiling. I just don't think he's better than Bain because of unless it depends on how you use him though. So that's the other thing. I think Mesidor is a better outside linebacker as far as doing outside linebackery things than Bain. He's a little twitchier. He can cover a little better. So if you want to use him as an outside linebacker that's doing a lot more than just pass rushing, Mesidor is the better player. If you're looking to just say, hey, straight pass rush, set the edge, stop the run, be that guy, Bain's the better player. Bain is like just a stocky, stout guy. He's not quick and he's not twitchy. He ain't covering nobody. I got a feeling Gary give you 12 sacks this year. I mean, with Brandon T. Jordan, he just might. I think that he needs a counter. He already has his go-to move, which is his stab and his long arm, right? He needs to counter sooner. He's very strong, but he counters too late. He needs to counter, disengage sooner, and be more violent with his hands. And I think Gary definitely can get you 12 sacks. He could have got you 12 last year. He had 7.5, but we all saw in the film that he missed on about 6 that he should have had. I'm talking about touching the quarterback, not like 6 where I think, it was a good rush, but you didn't counter. I mean, like actual hands on. He needs to finish better. Even if he finished half of those, he'd be at 10.5 sacks right now. He just needs to finish better. And that's just in those 6 games that I looked at. If I'd have looked at the entire season, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find, obviously, more than 6 of those. So if you're touching the quarterback, you need to bring him down. Just like I treat that just like the football. If a wide receiver gets 2 hands on the ball, bring it in. If you get your hand on the quarterback, I don't care if it's 1, bring him down. You know what I mean? Gary has to get better at that. He does. Hey, Okoye, would you want Bobby Wagner on the team? Yes, he would teach. It depends. Like if you're bringing him in to be more of a teacher, not a progress stopper. I don't want him to take Demo off the field, and I don't want him to block the rookie that we draft. Like we draft Sonny Styles. Do I want Bobby Wagner off the field? On the field over those two? No. So I don't know. I don't think Bobby Wagner fits because if you get a startable middle linebacker, I don't want Bobby Wagner to be that progress stopper that stops him from ascending early as we would like. And then you bring in him as a progress stopper. The next year, the guy gets injured, and now you're 2 years in, and you haven't even seen what your first round draft pick can do. Doesn't make sense to me. I think if you're going to go high at linebacker in the draft, he should play and get all the reps out right now so that he can mature next year into what he needs to be. I don't think so. I guess with me saying that, I would say no, I don't want Bobby Wagner. I would love him as a player, but I wouldn't like what it would mean to the organization progress wise. No. Ninjas die every day, B. Bain beat up OSU O line. Yes, he did. The whole line. Okoye, beloved brother, salute. What's up, Sadiqa? Sadiqa called me. You called me yesterday to see if I was going live. I went live on. Oh, that's the other thing. You want to watch that show? Go out to Boss Cowboy and watch the show that we did last night. We just did a. Was that last night? Dang, I'll be forgetting what day it is, man. Might have been the day before last, actually. But yeah, we be at it, man. What up, Okoye? I'm glad y'all worked it out on Boss Stream. I was a little worried for Homeboy early on. I mean, I said too much. I was threatening him physically. That's bad. You don't do that. And I'm glad he took it the way he took it. You know, he is a big dude, though. Like, man, he might put his whole palm on my head when I see you, young boy. I'll still fight you though, even if you go beat my ass. You got to just beat my ass. But he's a big boy, man. Like, he's a big dude. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was crazy. Red Pill Okoye, y'all gonna end up being schooled. Yeah, man, for sure. Thanks for the super chat. He said men have still nut up occasionally. It's just a natural thing. Okoye on grown man time. I mean, we all are, man. We all are. I'm watching both in the live at Crown Global Media. Oh, damn, you good. You got it on the TV, huh? Yeah, they glad. They probably went live, I think, 13 minutes ago. So let me just get through these so y'all can get over there in a second, because this breakdown ain't gonna be too long. I just wanted to make sure I addressed everybody because I hadn't talked to y'all. Jay Bryan, he said, "What's up, brother? I like Bain. I think that I would take Bain even if Styles is there. I want overkill. I also want Jake Galladay at a linebacker. I wouldn't pass on Styles or Downs, but I think Bain fits the new defense. Yeah, but I think you can get Mesidor and get something out of that at 20, and I would be fine with Mesidor. If I got Mesidor and Styles in the first round, that's a win. That's a win for me. But you also are right. If you miss Styles and he's not there, you take Bain. You get what you can get at 20. I think you would go Bain. I would go double pass rush maybe, or whether it be interior. I might go Bain and then get me another defensive lineman to back up, or be schooled by Casey and QW at 20. I have to look at the defensive tackles available, but get a guy that has some well-roundedness, at 20, and then go look for a linebacker in the third round. Because I think Rodriguez is not going to go in unless it's the late second round, early third. I think Rodriguez, because of his lack of athleticism, that's where he'll be. And I would take him in the third round if I needed a middle linebacker. That's still a startable linebacker. And if that's the case, you could take Joshua Trotter too. You know what I'm saying? So that Des Bryant video is fire. The fact that people still talk about that video is fire to me, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing other than learning how to screen grab at that time. I didn't have any experience. I just put it out because of my frustration with the lack of narrative on what he was actually doing. So I'm glad I did it, because it opened a new door to something that I didn't even know I loved. Like, I love doing this. Like I said, excuse me, I've been doing it for free for a long time. There's no way you'll get up and do something for free all the time that you don't love. And honestly, I would say that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, but there's other things that I would do for free too. But the way I tell my sons, the way I got them into their majors, into the things they do jujitsu. One's a writer. He's in college to be a writer, and he's taking philosophy. That's my 18-year-old. My 21-year-old's in college to be a sports therapist. So he's in school for sports medicine, and he also does jujitsu. So I asked him, I said, "Look, make sure you do things that you do a job that you wouldn't mind getting up and doing for free if you were already rich." Right. So that's the way I am. I would do this. If I had everything, I didn't have to leave the house, didn't have to deal with nothing, I would still do this. I would still train fighters. I would still help people. So the things that I do in my life right now are the things that I would do if I didn't, have to do anything. I would still do the things I'm doing right now. So I love this right here, man. This is one of the things I love. But I do want to get paid now. I'm tired of saying that. I don't got nothing against money. So I do want to get paid for doing this, because more money don't stop nothing. I would definitely take it. Did y'all see the Cowboys discussing about Azeez Al-Shahar, or I don't know how to say his name, or Jordan Brooks? No, I haven't yet, but I plan on it as soon as I get off here. I haven't looked at anything. Thanks for the $10, Warren. He said, when it comes to Bain, are you concerned with his measurables, particularly his arm length in the NFL? In the NFL, when he lines up against O-line that have guys that put hands on him? No, because he's a strong guy with violent hands. So he fights your hands. So even if you have long arms, he'll break them. If you grab on to him, you'll see it in the film in a second. You can grab him if you want to, but he's ripping and pulling. He just know he disengages your hands before you get them on him. He's very active with his hands. So there's this myth that you need long arms to be a good pass rusher. You do if you're a guy that doesn't have the moves that Bain has. But Bain understands who he is. So he knows he doesn't have long arms. So he fights your hands before they get there. So if I'm not letting you engage with my torso with your hands, like you're not going to be able to punch out or punch me as effectively as you would like to. But good question though. Good afternoon, Corey. Working now. Just got a chance to check my phone. Happy to see you live, man. Appreciate you, Blue. Reezy, Okoye, hopefully we get a defensive end outside linebacker. What do you think of Jay Toia will be this year? Hopefully he got the peanut butter. Hopefully he got the peanut butter, because if he got the peanut butter, meaning he ain't big for nothing this year because he's actually strong now. I would like Jay Toia. I like this college film. I'm not gonna lie. He just wasn't. He wasn't that strong last year, and maybe it was the scheme. I don't know what they were asking him to do, but I didn't like his strength. And you said explain the 4-eye. So the 4. So if you're playing 4-eye, you're playing inside the tackle. So you're shading the inside shoulder of the tackle. I'll show you on screen where it lined up. But you're one of 3 down linemen usually in the 4-eye in a 3-4 scheme. So you have your nose, who's playing 0 or 1. 0 would mean he's head up with the center. He's out shading left or right. If he's 1, he's in the A gap to the left or the right. Okay. Now that's 1. 4-eye, you're lined up over a tackle. If he's just 4, that means he's squared up with the tackle. That's why it's 4. 4-eye means he's shading the inside shoulder, meaning towards the guard of the tackle, right? And if he's, there's no 4-eye. I don't think there's a 4 outside, right? But it's 4 or 4-eye. But that's what 4-eye is. So when they say 4-eye, that's all they mean. That means he's 4 inside the tackle. He's playing the 4, but he's not head up with the tackle. He's inside the tackle. The tackle being your offensive tackle. Have you guys considered drafting running back Love from Notre Dame to get the DeMarco Murray effect of making up for rebuilding the defense? No, I wouldn't. I like Israel, Anaconda, whatever his name is, the dude that I think we have him now. And I like Mafa. I want to see what Blue can do, and then I love Williams. So I think and also Hunter Lipke. I like our running back room. I think those guys should be. If Blue doesn't show up this year, and then we have Davis too. Malik Davis looked good last year. But if these guys, if Blue doesn't show up this year, and Moffa doesn't get on the field this year, then yet next year draft a running back. But this year, no. I would say we okay. Okoye, do you think we should go after that defensive end in the Steelers? Highsmith. If you're going to go after Highsmith, you might as well go ahead and get Bain. They're the same type of guy. They're stockies, not long arm guys that I think play outside linebacker pretty well. I like Highsmith. Highsmith has been injured the last 2 seasons, though. So that's why I say I would rather have a young guy, a young Highsmith that I have to teach a few things rather than Highsmith himself, because he's missed some time due to injury the last 2 seasons. What's the floor? What's the floor for this ceiling with 2 picks at defensive end and current personnel as is? Okay, I don't understand the question, Philly. What's the floor for this ceiling with 2 picks at? I don't get what you mean. What would you mean by floor? Meaning, like, where should we go as far as in the draft with those picks? Like, what's the range? Or are you talking about the players themselves? Hello? Yeah. What's up, babe? No, I'm live right now. What's good? You all right? I'm gonna call you. Yeah, I'm gonna call you right back. I'm leaving. I gotta go to the bank right after this. All right, I'm gonna call you as soon as I leave. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. I wonder if they take another running back in the 5th. They probably will. All right. He said, don't we get a compensatory pick for Marshawn Nealon? Perhaps I heard wrong. Why would they give us? I don't know. Why would they give us that? I never heard of that. Our room full of guys don't yield much sacks. Granted, Clowney started later in the year, but this is about the same edge room. I'm still trying to see the edge by committee vision for the team. Those guys aren't sack machines by any means, but When you look at Ezeraku, I think Ezeraku with a full season of Quentin Williams, and if he's healthy going into training camp, Ezeraku can do some damage. When you look at Gary as well, we judge Gary's film for what he did without Quentin Williams and KC, right? He was one of the pass rushers before Micah Parsons got there. He was the guy, him and Van Ness, right? Wyatt is not KC. Wyatt is not QW. You know what I'm saying? So he hadn't played with guys that was collapsing the interior of the line that I can see on film. That only makes him better. If he's almost getting there, like he had 54 pressures last year. He wasn't a slouch. So if he's almost getting there with those guys, Gary, that is, without those guys, he'll get there with those guys. And then that only makes Ezeraku better. Like if you're an offensive line and you're going to slide to four players, you're going to block. You're not going to block. You're not going to be able to block Gary with a tight end. So he's going to get a tackle allocated to him every time. They're going to slide to him, Ogbo, QW, and Kenny Clark. That leaves Ezeraku on a tight end or a running back more often, which I think he can handle. Plus, he can handle some coverage responsibilities. And I think the vision is Morris Leofau will spell him in that and help handle some coverage with those spill backers and tight ends as well. But also versus the run, they both can still show up. You can't just say, oh, Ezeraku's on the field, let's run at him. With a tight end, he's going to shed that. You can't say, hey, Morris Leofau's on the field, let's run at him, because he loves that, right? So I think they're going to get hustle sacks from that side. And then you'll get the cleanup from both those guys, both Gary and or Sam Williams and or Morris Leofau and or obviously. Oh, and then the other thing that we're not paying attention to is Houston. Houston's still on this team. Houston playing outside linebacker in a 5-man front is a lot better than Houston as a defensive end. He's not a defensive end. He stops the run as a linebacker. I mean, he uses athleticism. He's not a guy that's standing up, setting edges. He's a guy that, he can do it with a tight end, but he's not a guy that's standing up, setting edges. So if you have 3 tackles and Gary that are occupying most of the line of scrimmage, and then, you have a guy like Houston that's out there with those 4, he's not as exposed as he is if it's just him as a defensive end. So Houston is a pass rusher. That's what I do want to get him on the field more for, because he can pass rush. All right, you guys are asking a lot. C. Styles isn't a Mike to me. Can Overshawn play Mike? Styles is what Overshawn is to me. They're both athletic. They're will type guys, right? But I think Demo could play the Mike. I don't think CP cares about size. I think he cares about IQ. But we don't know what Demo's health is. I want Demo to stay healthy, man. Okoye, have you seen Malachi Lawrence, UCF edge? He has the traits Dallas loves. He may be available between 2 and 4. He blew up the combine, so I can see someone reaching. Let me take a look at him. I told you I don't watch football, so I will look at him now that I know his name for sure. When I say I don't watch football, I don't watch live TV of any football. I watch film. When I watch college, I watch it on film, no sound. When I watch the NFL, it's usually on film, no sound. I don't know who I'm looking at. I just like, that's why I know when I like a player, I know I'm right to a degree, because I don't know them. I'm not like a fan. I'm not like, I'm a Michigan fan. Who's that Mozzie guy? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, who's 58 that played nose tackle that chased a guy 40 yards up the field? I like him because he did that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that made me start paying attention to him. I didn't know who he was. Micah Parsons. I was calling him Mika Parsons. I didn't know who he was either. So when I watched the film, if you flash, Devin Weatherspoon, I broke him down a couple years ago. When I watch a guy and they flash, I know they're good because I'm only paying attention to the patterns, the pattern recognition, like who's flashing. All right, that's enough. I'm going to finish these shout outs soon, because y'all got me on here for probably I'm almost an hour in of just shout outs. So I appreciate the love for sure, but I got to get to it. So let me get to it. Get to it, man. I'll pull you out of here. Boom. And let's get to it. What you'll see early, like this breakdown, I zoomed it in real good, so y'all can see, what it is that's going on here. Mesidor, right here, I just said keep your eyes up, because I think he got hugged here, but he had his eyes down and got yanked out of there. Didn't result in a big play, but I just want you guys to pay attention. I put it in a box where you can see what they're doing on a regular basis, but they work very well off of each other, and they were very disruptive. This is how I grade. So I grade based off of game impact. So I could have took just one or a couple highlights from this game and highlights from the next game and low lights from another game. But I like to see, like, what effect did you have on the game? And this game in particular, the Cotton Bowl, they were really a 1-2 punch that was dangerous. I think Mesidor's hands got a little lazy late in the game. He started getting blocked a little bit more when he got tired. But Bain, the whole game was on it. And when he finally slowed down, it was because they started allocating triple teams on Bain. And then Mesidor, Mesidor was a little tired at that point because that was his time to eat. But once they started triple teaming Bain, it was already too late. It was like the end of the game. It was too late. But even versus the run, this is what I want to see versus the run. A guy who can pass rush, but if you try to, you try to out leverage him, he took the tackle with him to the tackle. That's what I meant when I was arguing and saying, hey, you set the edge, yes, but after setting the edge, go get it. That's what I mean. You know what I mean? That was a prime example of that. But look at all of the moves, and I was very careful to make sure you guys can see the moves, the hand moves that they're making. It's not just a quick rush where you don't understand what actually did he do to get open here or to get free. I'll look at both of them individually. So here, that was a stab and then a rip right there, boom. And then he keeps his legs moving with good leverage and bend right there. Bain's just gonna take the guy and dump him on his head, right? Boom. See that? That's strength. That's just raw strength. That's just a rip, like just not even a rip. It's like a club, but he just took both his hands and yanked him to the ground. But that was crazy to me. Boom, out of there, out of there. I love Bain, but this is the effect that he's having on the game. Every time he was blocked one-on-one, I think he won. And then here, that was a low snap. The quarterback's so scared that he's out there. He threw the ball too quick, and that was a pick six. I didn't give that to Bain as a pure influence. I think the low snap and the fear of Bain is what made that quarterback throw the ball. It wasn't like a pressure from Bain so much so because the snap is what caused the pressure, not Bain. Right there. So watch this. So swim, watch how many moves. This is 3 moves on one play. Swim, rip, and then hump, right? The hump move is when you just try to like take somebody under the arm and just throw him across your body. That's what he did at the end. He didn't win at that after the fact. He caught him by the hump, but I'm just saying, look at how many moves they're using to get to the ball. Mesidor is a little more explosive, and you'll see as well. He can run a little bit better. But here, boom, look at that. This is just a hustle sack right there. He thought those guys had the sack, and then he got in there and did his thing. But I think at 20, I would love Mesidor. I think he has some health concerns. But at 20, I would love Mesidor. He's 25, so he's older. So I would say he might be even more NFL ready body-wise than Bain. Who knows? He might have his grown man strength at 25 by now. He might not need the peanut butter, so to speak. So maybe he's ready in that regard. And then his explosiveness and twitchiness off the edge allows you to use him in some coverage situations too. You'll see that in film. He runs very well in space. He's very explosive at the point of contact when he goes to hit you. And it's very hard to get your hands on him at times if you're a slow tackle or guard. He's going to cross your face like he just did there pretty fast. This is him, I think, in coverage though. Watch this. If I showed this view, it's probably coverage. But yeah, he's going to cover the flat here. Boom, right, boom. Then run to the hook and blow this up. You know what I mean? Well, he didn't blow it up, but he made the tackle. But he can definitely do a little bit more if you're talking about outside linebacker 3-4 guy. He's a little bit better, I think, in that regard than Bain is. So I do like that. Bain, on the other hand, is more of a guy that's going to play within his window, but he has a plethora of pass rush route. That was a swipe right there. So he has so many moves, but that was a good point. Let me go back to that real quick and let you see that again. So for those who talk about his short arms, what does it matter if his arms are short if you can't use your arms? Like, even when you go to push him, it don't matter. He knows how to fight your hands. He knows he can't let you get your arms on him because you'll lock him out. So he uses his hands to fight yours. You know what I mean? More of defensive. Damn, he dumped him right on his head. More defensive than anything else. Here, like, you won't see him stabbing too often because of those short arms, right? But he's going to use a stab and then a rip here, boom. But when he does that, you can see it's hard for him to disengage when he does that. So if he doesn't get your hands off of him or out of here before you get into his frame, he could have some issues at the NFL level. I don't negate that. But if I'm a gambling man, I would say he won't have that problem because of his tenacity, his low center of gravity, his weight. He looks like a tree trunk. You know what I mean? So he's a strong little guy, a strong, stocky guy. I don't want to say little because he ain't hell little. Right there. See, he fights your hands. Even if you do have longer arms, what does it matter if as soon as you extend them, he's like, get off him. You're not getting a chance to really get a real solid hit on him. I do like that a lot. You know what I mean? I like that a lot. Let's see it again. Boom. Here. See this? That's a rip too. Like, so he puts his arm down, and as soon as you engage, he's waiting for you to engage, and he's ripping you out of there. This is him versus the run. This is another run play. I'll put the gaps up here just so you understand like where he was. He jumped into the A gap, so I realized that that linebacker was supposed to spill back into the B, and he sat there. 31 sat there. 31 and 41. Both of those linebackers don't really be wanting no smoke. They haven't wanted no smoke in a while. I've been watching them in this game. I don't like the Miami linebackers to be honest. Yeah, boom. He does this a lot, so he's strong. Like I said, he throws guys to the ground like it ain't nothing. I got hair in my throat, so boom. I just put that play in there. I don't know why. Let's see. Let's see what Mesidor does here. Oh, this right here. I love this play. This shows his range and his explosiveness. You're not running away from him to his side of the field at all. He coming to get you, and he will blow you up. Mesidor is a little twitchier, a little more twitchier than Bain. You can see he's not as strong as Bain, though. You put two bodies on him, and he might have trouble. That's why I say I don't know where he is, body wise. Like, is he, does he have his man strength yet? I hope he does at 25 because he's 25. But I can definitely see that if he has to deal with chips, things like that, he might have an issue because he's not chip ready. Bain right there just got yanked down because he had his head down. I saw that. Here you'll see Bain is going to. This is Mesidor, I believe. Yeah, Mesidor is going to get forced out. You see that window, but watch 41. This is why I said I don't like their linebackers. 41's supposed to eat right there. Why did you settle back down? You're supposed to blow this up. But Mesidor has a pretty good motor and IQ. He's going to work back to the ball right here. And this is what I meant. Set the edge, which he did. Now come back and get the damn ball if it comes your side. You know what I'm saying? Now, he did his responsibility. What if he just said, I set the edge, coach? That was my job. You know what I mean? Nah, go get that damn ball. Go get the ball. It's near you. Go get it. Go get it. So Mesidor, like I said, he has active hands. Watch these hands. Watch that. Watch his hands. He does a double rip. Rip, rip, rip. He did a triple rip. It's like he did a triple rip. 1, 2, 3. And got past both guys like that. Boom. Fight his hands, fight his hand, fight his hand, go. So I like the stuff that I see on film from Mesidor. I like them both. I would take Mesidor at 20 easily. Boom. Look at that rip. Bain is just a force, man. I love what I see in Bain too, man. Bain's a force. But both these guys, I think, if we got either of them and you said you wanted to address the pass rush here, I would say, they're a 5 to 8 sack first year guy, easy. And then, maybe more if, Brandon T. Jordan and Quentin Williams and Casey can get more out of them, But Bain, short arms or not, I wouldn't turn him down because of measurables, because the film doesn't lie on him, man. He's a guy that's going to be a good player regardless of his arm length. I think he's going to be solid. So I'm not concerned with anything other than maybe injury and just availability. That's it. Are you going to be available? But I see enough in his ability to fight your hands at the point of contact to say that his short arms don't hurt you as much as you might think they would, due to the fact that he's aware of his deficiencies. So he fights your hands before you're able to even, like I said, engage. But I'll do these shout outs and then I got to get out. All right. The Dez video was fire. Dez is the last Cowboy jersey I acquired. Yeah, Dez was my favorite at that time. Botch bringing all his boys on is dope. Crown Global is dope. Yeah, I bang with them, man. Mesidor is also first team academic All-American. That's dope. He said, sounds like his hand fighting is elite. Yeah, it looks like it too. Love should be long gone by 12. Maybe. People think that talent is not always what gets you in the top 10 or out of the top 10 or gone by the top 10. Because Michael Parsons was obviously one of the most talented guys there, but he was still pushed out of the top 10. It's team need. Like if teams see how there's not a lot of offensive tackles, you got to see what's short in short order on offense and defense, but in high demand. Because demand creates, is going to create a run on those positions. So if there aren't a lot of offensive tackles, but everyone needs one, but there's only 5 of them that are, even if they're not top 10 guys, you might have a top 20 tackle, but a guy in the top 10 knows, hey, if we don't grab one in the top 10, we won't get another opportunity to the 4th round. And then we're getting a developmental guy. That top 20 guy is now a top 10 guy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where they're picking. You know what I mean? They might trade back maybe, but they still know, hey, we need that guy. If he's a middle of the 1st round guy, but, it's, let's say, defensive tackle for even, but we're not going to get the one we want or another player like this until around 3 or 4. And again, they're going to be developmental. I got a gnat in front of me, but they're going to be developmental. Then you'll see guys that aren't supposed to go as high get picked higher. If it's quarterback, right? Okay, if you need a quarterback and you're in the top 10, you ain't waiting. You're going to grab what you can grab because you're not going to get another opportunity. So it depends on position need. That will determine, who actually goes, because some guys will slide because they just don't need that as much as they might need a quarterback or a running back or a guard or a tackle, wide receiver, thing like that. Uh, we got over 100 in here. Let's hit that like button. Are y'all hitting the like button? Let me see what y'all did to me, because I know how y'all be doing me sometimes. I be like, damn, show the love. What's going on, man? Let me see. Content live. Let me go live. And I got 92 likes out of 125 people. Y'all doing pretty damn good. I appreciate it. I see that super chat, brother. Brother, I'm coming. He said, I think Bain isn't playing outside linebacker. I think he's your 4-eye, 5-tech nickel defensive end guy. I don't think he plays outside linebacker. Smith jumps Leofile, which I don't think I want. I want a kid. Yeah, I like Leofile as like a all-purpose Swiss Army knife guy, right? But I do change my mind, and I'm allowed to. The film sometimes lies to us, right? And I never paid attention. I think someone said, I think Schottenheimer made me look at it. He said, yeah, he's not twitchy, right? He's fast in a straight line, but he's not twitchy. So outside is better suited for him. That's what I read in the article. So I said, let me watch him again. And I watched his entire season. And I'm like, yeah, he's not a guy that he doesn't turn and run very well, right? Morris Leofau. He runs in a straight line very well, but changing directions, he's okay at it. He's a lot better though. He's a fast outside linebacker. Like he would be considered highly athletic at outside linebacker, but at middle linebacker, he's not sideline to sideline. He's not, because he can't change directions. But if you say, hey, you're on this side of the field, run up or down, left or right in full speed. Oh, he can do that all day. So he'll close once he sees where he's going. But the other thing that kind of stood out is he was fast his rookie year. So I do also think he wasn't understanding what was going on. So a lot of the slow reactions might have been due to the fact that he doesn't even know what's happening out there under Eberflus. So that could be it too. The key, Quentin Williams up the middle is going to collapse the pocket, easy sacks. Why y'all just talk about Quentin like Kenny Clark ain't that guy? Kenny Clark is really a beast. He's a beast. I've never seen so much disrespect for a 3-time Pro Bowler in my life. I'm like, Kenny Clark, he ain't old and he a beast. And he was coming off of an injury last year. And still, to me, he gave us a hell of a season last year. I like what I saw in Kenny Clark. He just was by himself at first. So we needed a guy like Quentin Williams after the fact. But yeah, he a beast, man. Do you like Katron Allen? I have to look at him, but I'll look at his name. I'll remember the name. Repent and turn to Jesus before it's too late. I mean, well, praise God. There you go, brother. I'm glad you said that. Ain't that something? I ain't got no hate for that. I'm not a super religious guy though, but go ahead. Yeah. Amen. It's hard for me in the wait and see approach with young players, especially with first-year defensive coordinator. Well, that'll tell you what you got though. That's why you get a real litmus test for a defensive coordinator, if he can get the best. Like I thought a lot of Zimmer because he got the best out of Mozzie. I said, damn, Mozzie looked like what I wanted him to be or close to it the second half of that year. Once Zimmer stopped trying to play Dan Quinn's scheme, which he was doing in the beginning of the year, Mozzie looked like he did under Dan Quinn, right? Once he switched, to his own scheme later in the year, we started winning, number one, started getting sacks, number two. But Demo and Mozzie started heating up, something crazy. Better tell, he said, better tell them cats and Epstein files. Oh, facts. Yeah, tell them to repent. Said we're going to be PK. Okay, I think he said okay, people. Yeah, I like Mesidor as an outside linebacker. I want Kyle Lewis as a chess piece player, sometimes linebacker, sometimes safety. I'm interested in playmakers and pressure players. So if I can't get Bain or Bailey, is Bailey or Mesidor? I understand. He said we're going to be okay. I got you. Also, I want this team to get better players and stop defending on our star players. i.e. QW, KC, Dak, are depending, not defending, CD and GP. Yeah, you're right. We need more role players to come in and help those guys. Okay, Reezy said, Akuya, explain sacks versus tackle for loss. Players need it for it. So to me, the tackle for loss conversation is crazy because I really don't understand why the sack started getting elected as something special. Because to me, the sack is a lot easier to get than a tackle for loss. Because number one, sack is an individual man sport. You can beat your guy by yourself, kind of break the integrity of the line in the pass rush, and whoop your guy and get a sack, right? But if you're not where you're supposed to be versus the run, playing hero ball, you ain't getting no tackles for loss. You're gonna give up yards, right? Because you jumped out of your gap, right? So you can't ask Osa. You can't freelance when it comes to getting tackles for loss. Number one. Number two, you have a guy with the football who runs through tackles as a powerful running back. They're used to running through arm tackles and running through defensive tackles, right? You got like ask Quentin Williams when Javante ran through him for 66 yards versus the Jets, right? He ran through his arm tackle, ran right past him, 66 yards. But Quentin was the first to put his hands on him. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with a running back like that, how hard is it to get him down behind the line of scrimmage? Very difficult. And you have the offensive line hitting you. You're not hitting them. So in a pass rush, the offensive line is dropping back. They're not attacking. They're dropping back. So you're hitting them. It's a lot easier to do that. That's why Sweat could pass rush with a bad knee, but can't run stop with a bad knee because he's getting hit on the run plays, right? Running plays, they're attacking you, attacking your knees, they're double teaming you, they're combo blocking, reach blocking, down blocking, all kinds of things are happening to you in run plays that you have to see coming. Number one, your head needs to be on a swivel. You need to get past the line of scrimmage and stop a guy that's running full speed ahead towards the line of scrimmage. That's hard as hell to do. So if you can do that consistently for a season, to me, you are a beast. If I had a guy, and they count the same. So if I tackle the quarterback, and this is another thing, no gain does not count as a tackle for loss, which is crazy to me. So if you stop a guy at the line of scrimmage, you don't get a tackle for loss credit for that. You get no gain. That's not nothing. That's just a tackle for no yards, right? But if I stop the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, I get a sack, right? If he doesn't advance behind the line of scrimmage. To me, that's crazy. Because if you have a guy like even Leofau had a bunch of no gains this season. He didn't have a bunch of tackles for loss. But you have guys like that, they're not getting that credit for being run stuffers because we don't beautify tackles for losses. But if I have a guy that gets me 15, 16 tackles for losses in a season and then gets me 8 sacks, people are like, oh, he only had 8 sacks, but they don't count the 15, 16 tackles for loss, right? So that collectively he has 24 plays behind the line of scrimmage. But they will elect a guy that has 10 sacks and 3 tackles for loss. And that accounts for 13 plays behind the line of scrimmage, right? They'll elect him and pay him quicker than they'll pay the guy that got you 24 plays behind the ball. And they'll pay him more because he has more productivity in the sack category. To me, that's crazy to me. Like, it's crazy. If I give me a guy, whether he's a nose tackle, defensive tackle, 3 tackle, or defensive end, outside linebacker, give me a guy that can just play on their side of the ball, whether that's versus run or pass, and I'm happy with it. That's why I wasn't mad about Gary, because I said Gary's going to be a guy that's going to get me tackle. What he's not getting me in the sack department, you're going to have an uptick. He's going to make up for it with tackles for loss, for sure. So understand that tackles for losses count just as much on the field. They have the same amount of damage and effect as a sack. Meaning, if I tackle you for 8 yards behind the ball as a running back, or I tackle you for 8 yards behind the ball as a quarterback, the same difference, the same effect is had on the team. You know what I mean? So that's what it means. And I know I'm higher on Jake Galladay or Gold Day than most people, but he reminds me of Carson Schwarzenegger and Peyton Willis. Oh, that's crazy. I'm looking for Zach Bond types. Peyton Willis is a Zach Bond type, so I gotta watch this guy. I haven't checked him out, but if he moved like them, pretty good. That's pretty good. Okoye, ESPN News shows college games from all 22 with no commentary. They do? I had no clue. I will rip it now that you say it. I will start ripping that. Your grading is what started the fighting. Yeah, my grading is dependent upon impact. So I grade, like I said, I said this before, I grade like a scout. So I'm not because if I'm looking at a team and I'm not really paying attention to one player, I don't care what the assignment was so much so all the time. Like if a guy is like disruptive, meaning okay, if I'm looking at a guy for his hand fighting ability, I might be grading that, right? But if I say, hey, who's this other guy over here that suddenly jumped out to me while I'm watching the film who's constantly disruptive? Just like I pointed out 41, the linebacker from Miami who can't tackle or who wasn't very aggressive. If he could, or if he was a guy to blow you up, I probably would look to him too because I can see, hey, 41 keep making tackles. Who is that? He's disruptive, right? He's making plays, right? So then I start watching. Like that's how I got on Devin Witherspoon. I'll start watching. And the reason that I'm usually right about certain players is because I'm not grading, did they do their job? You know why? I don't know what the job was that they were asked to do in the first place, and neither do you. But if you just say they're setting the edge and that's all they were asked to do, cool. I can see that being your job. But do you go above and beyond the obvious job that I see you doing? Meaning, all right, do you set the edge, but then you run like hell on the backside when the ball doesn't go your way, right? Are you making plays where you shouldn't even be making plays? Like DeMarcus Lawrence, where they ran at him, they blocked him with four guys, and he still made do you make plays like that? Because a guy who can make plays like that, you can use, right? Can you do things that are out of the norm, for me? Or are you just a guy that does your job? We have guys like that. Those are role players to me. Are you Robert Ory or are you Kobe? Can you create or are you just good when I get you to your spots? You know what I mean? So that's the difference to me. And that's why my grading system is different than most people because I'm not grading like a position coach. I'm not grading like, hey, if I was an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, would I want to go up against this guy? That is part of it. So I will look at your one-on-ones, but I look at the snap count and I say, out of this game, like each game that I watch, is he consistently disruptive? Meaning, is he a guy that the other team says, if you don't stop that guy, he's going to give you a hell for the whole day? That's what I look at. If you're not that guy, that's what makes me kind of iffy on Caleb Downs and Styles, because the guy was Arvell Reese. That was the guy that everybody's trying to stop. And I think Sonny Styles cleaned up off of that because, he's getting two or three guys sometimes, or he's getting the attention, and Sonny Styles is running free to the ball, not always having to shed. I think he can shed, but that's what the question is for me. And then Downs was a guy that made the plays that he was supposed to make, but he wasn't the guy like, if you don't get a number or a count on where Downs is, he's going to disrupt, he's going to destroy your game. But Arvell Reese will destroy your game. You know what I'm saying? So those are different types of guys. But some guys get to look like that. Like Dorrance Armstrong looked like he was disruptive on paper because he was always getting cleanup sacks. But who was the guy? It was the D-Law and Micah Parsons were the reasons he was able to get out there and be effective like that. Not saying he wasn't for Washington, he still is. But on film when he was here, he was getting a lot of those, types of sacks. And that's really what it is. Let's see. That's what I've been saying. His short arms can work as an advantage in hand fighting, better leverage. Yep. He got tree trunks for arms too. Don't trip off them prices, fam. That's a distraction. You need the gas for your vehicle regardless. I feel you. Imagine having both players on your team. Shaking my head. I mean, if Mesidor fell to 3 for some reason, yeah, I would take both of those guys. What's up, West Coast? He said, what it do? He said, they keep trying to say Bain arms too short to box with God. I don't see it personally. Hand fighting like a martial, his hand fighting like a martial artist. Yeah, go ahead, try to grab Bain with them long arms when you want to. Still, he gonna break your arm at the elbow. Trust me, you're gonna see a lot of hyperextended elbows, torn shoulders, and pecs trying to grab him. Right? What's up, Tyson? Tyson, man, people don't know, like one of the first, other than I think Law put me on first, but Tyson gave me the reps I needed. Like I used to go on Facebook and watch, I'll watch it too, but I would go on Facebook and do shows with Tyson West Coast Cowboy, which in turn, Boss jumped on to Facebook, argued with me. Boss started his show based off of that, but a lot of stuff came from Tyson West Coast Cowboy. I used to do like his shows once a week, and we would argue with guys on the phone. People call up and they would just go off on me, man. But he was definitely an integral part of me being who I am in this game, because I didn't have the color commentary game down. I could record something and talk over a breakdown. But going live, the reason I'm comfortable live, if somebody's screaming, hollering, chaos, it was like imagine playing quarterback, and you see quarterback coaches where the quarterback's in the pocket and they're throwing tennis balls at him, they're throwing pillows at him, and he's like trying to learn with the chaos. That was Tyson West Coast Cowboys show. Like the guys were calling and cursing me out, and while they're doing it, I'm having to learn how to adjust live because we're live. You know what I'm saying? So West Coast definitely put me on, man. And I give everybody flowers, man. Yep, everybody. True. Got to hit the road tomorrow, and money will be spent either way. Facts. The linebacker did what Cowboys linebackers did all season. Yeah, nothing. All right, finally getting to you, Twine. My bad. He said, "Big bro, I like Mesidor a lot. He's more of a hybrid pass rusher. He can line up outside, but what makes him viable is he can also kick inside on passing downs, and attack guards. Injury a concern, but he's good. I like him. I do too. But yeah, injury is a concern with him. Appreciate that too, Megatwan. He said, bro has a bag like Easy showed in college. Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Easy gonna be all right. He gonna be all right. His moves just wasn't working last year because he'll get yoked up. They gripping him up, right? He trying to move and he try to get their arms off of him, but he ain't got that peanut butter that Vice said. So once they grip him, he done. You know what I mean? That was it. So, I think he'll be better as we move forward for sure. He said, my last mock was crazy. I took Love at 12, then Sadiq at 20. I don't really care for the mock drafts because they don't take into account team need. Like teams need certain things that you might have a grade on a player. Your grade versus on the player doesn't always equate to top 10 just because you have a top 10 grade, because team need will outweigh your grade. Like if you don't need a quarterback, like why would we go if we were top 10 and you got Dak? Quarterback is irrelevant to you. So let's say you got 3 teams that got quarterbacks, right? Well, those 3 teams ain't picking quarterback if they're the top 3 picks, right? They don't need one, right? But a team that does might jump up to 4 and be like, I need one. Now, what do you have? Now you went four plays, four picks, and quarterback just coming off the board at 4 or 5. Now, those other teams that may not have wanted a quarterback might want one now because now quarterback slide into, because of the people that are jumping in line. So now there'll be a run on quarterback or a run on tackle. That will affect the draft even more. So I get closer to the draft first before, like right now is when I start doing my draft breakdowns. I don't care to do them early on because there's a lot to whittle down at. And it's like I don't like to invest my energy in these breakdowns into players that probably don't have a chance of making it to us, right? I want to see who's more likely to be at 12. And those are the guys I'll look at. Who's more likely to be around at 20 now, right? After the combine and everything settles. Okay, those are the guys I look at. Then I go deductive reason and say, well, who has behavior issues? Who has, injury issues? Who has, frame issues? Who sucked at the combine? Who did great at the combine? And then we move around based on that. Then I say, who came for the 30 visit? All right, boom. Now we're going to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Where are our team needs? What did we address in free agency? We didn't address middle linebackers. So let me look at middle linebackers because we still need that. We didn't really address pass rusher. Let me look at pass rushers because we still need that. We didn't address corner other than Durant, but I think we still need a shutdown corner. So let's look at that because the team still needs that. The other positions that they filled, like safety, the fact that we went out and got those safeties doesn't mean we won't take downs, but it means we don't have to take downs. You know what I'm saying? Because we've addressed it. You know what I mean? But if Downs is there and he's the best player available and at that pick, and you need a defensive end or outside linebacker or a linebacker, but he's the best player available, Downs is, do you take a Downs or do you go get a linebacker? Well, what you'll do then is look at, how many linebackers are in this draft that are playing at a high clip? Can I get one later that I like? Who's on our board? You know what I'm saying? And you don't know who's on anybody's board. So who's on our board that we like? Can we get him in the 3rd round? Okay, we'll go get him in the 3rd round and we will still take Downs. You know what I mean? Those things are what count. If you're not doing that, it don't matter what you do in the mock draft. It don't matter. That's why I don't like doing it. And I'm not hating on nobody else's mock draft. Watch all of them. I like them, watching them, but I don't like doing them because I get heavily invested in the film and then I don't get the guy. Like Devin Weatherspoon, I still love that guy. Like Devin Weatherspoon film in college was on point. I was right about who he is as a player too. But, he's not here, but he did win the Super Bowl. Koye, thanks for bringing sense to common topics. Thank you, man. Thank you for watching. You are my favorite football breakdown guy. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. That's why I do it. Yo, you handle yourself well on the boss show. Oh, for sure, man. I'm always gonna handle myself right, but like I said, I think things got kind of crazy, but still, I ain't gonna keep rehashing it. But thank you for saying that. I hope we have Kenny Gant or Bill Bates on squad. A Kenny Gant or Bill Bates on squad this year. Ah, man. Speaking of Bill Bates, man, I heard that he doesn't even know where he is. At the time that he was a wedge buster back in the day. I love Bill Bates back in the day, man. But it does take its toll on your body. So all that's why I'm very respectful of these players too, because they all go through a lot. You put your body through a lot to play this game. Just like I love my fighters, like you put your body through a lot to box too. I will say you guys might see me in a tough man competition or a backyard brawl or something like that. I'm gonna do something because number one, it's content. It might help this channel, but number two, I just start sparring again. Over the last 2 years, I haven't been sparring that much, but I just started sparring again like a week or two ago. And I'm sparring pros. I'm sparring some of my guys. I'm sparring guys in the gym, but they're like 3-0 guys. You know what I mean? 3 fights, 4 fights. But man, I'm whooping ass at 43. They like, yo, you fighting? Like, nah, I don't even fight, man, but I need to. If I could fight y'all, I could definitely fight a civilian in a backyard somewhere. I could whoop somebody's ass. So I'm like, I might do it. You never know. If I do it, I'll tell y'all, and I'm gonna go under the name of Koye. I'm not gonna say my real name. I'm not gonna say Darius. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say Koye because it'll help the channel. So yeah, I would do it. But let me get like 4 months in and then see, how I feel. And then I might reach out to those guys and be like, yo, man, give me a quick fight so I can go viral real quick for whooping some young boy ass. I'm gonna call myself old ninja. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a YN, I'm a ON. I'm an old ninja. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely would do it. His body kind of type puts in that puts you in that spot that you put in that spot. He did a little bit of everything in college. I see you, Devin. Cowboys fan base, Okoye, we eat our own Monday through Friday. Yo, if I said that to my man, my cousin, he was with me yesterday. He was like, I'm like, yo, I argue with more Cowboys fans than Eagles fans. Eagles fans don't argue with me. They be like, oh, they're arguing with me about Hurts because they don't like the breakdown I did of him. But they don't argue with nothing else. They be like, damn, yeah, it was on point. Boom, on point. If we talking football and straight football facts, it's on point. Plus, here they argue about wins or winning and things like that. Their team better than your team. But when it comes to like player breakdowns, they're not as savvy because they don't have that many guys that break film down in their network. So they're not as savvy as a Cowboy fan base. Cowboy fan base will tell me I'm wrong. Like, nah, he's supposed to work back to the ball here. You're talking about he's sealed there, but he's in the, you know what I mean? Like, oh, come on, man. But they really be going. They really be going. So you're right. Y'all really are educated as far as fans. But at the same time, you're like educated but scary. A lot of Cowboys fans are doom and gloom because we've been losing so much. Everybody's kind of jaded. So they don't know which way they want to go. They be like, Jerry got rid of Osa. He's a tyrant. Then they be like, Jerry won't let anybody get rid of Osa. He's a micromanager. It's like no matter which way we go, y'all complain because everybody has a narrative one way or the other. And then a lot of people have a voice on both sides of those narratives. So that's definitely a thing. They traded Osa and kept Kenny. That's a fact. And I'm glad they did. Shout out to West Coast once again. He said the class chess game clipboard matters if you want players to succeed. I gotta go. It's 3:00, but I'm about to get out of here. The only difference is 3 QB doesn't have the ball, but tackles for loss are harder to get. That's a fact. He said tackles for loss should get a little bit more love than sacks. I agree. Running backs are shifty. It's tough to get tackles for losses. Facts. He said 20 tackles for loss is like 30 sacks. Yeah, if you got 20, you got 15 tackles for loss, 7, 10, like you a beast. You a beast for that. I think Demarion Overshawn had like 12 his second season with Zimmer. He had like 12 and 8 sacks. He had 20 plays behind the ball. I said, what? Come on, man. Everybody who was talking to me, this is how crazy it is to me. In 6 years, LVE had 12 tackles for loss in 6 years. Overshawn had 12 in 1 year. That's the difference in their ability and the way they're used, right? It was crazy. That was Tank's superpower, his ability to extend, shed, and make plays behind the D line for the loss. We didn't appreciate him once we got a flashy sack guy, in my opinion. Yep, we did. He said, low key, Okoye could be a highly influential man of God. Yeah, but I couldn't be a preacher. No offense to I don't even want to get into religion. I don't like talking religion or politics, but I couldn't be a preacher. I was like a minister in college, though I ain't gonna lie. I just got away from religion because I was like, why do all Muslims gotta go, and Buddhists gotta go to hell because they don't worship, the same God as me, right? So I just got away from religion because of that, because I knew I have Muslims in my family, I got Buddhists in my family, I got Christians in my family, I got Masons in my family. So it'd be like, I don't like the idea of just saying you going to hell because you don't do what I do. So it got a little different for me because of that. But I would say I'm still very spiritual, but I just don't lock it in a box and I don't want to, I don't like being at a point where just because unless you're like a pedophile, or I don't even want to say that, PDO, unless you're one of those types of guys, I don't like having prejudices, meaning when I meet you, you're Muslim, so we automatically have to be oppositional. No, my trainer, my boxing coach, who gave me everything I love when it comes to boxing, all the knowledge I love, he was a Muslim. He passed away last year, but he's Muslim. His name was Sharaf, but real name Timothy Tyler. Rest in peace, Tim Tyler, man, and his family. But in respect to his family. But he was a Muslim, one of the best men I ever knew. You know what I mean? Best man I ever knew. Very, very, when I wanted to start my business, he invested in me, all that. You know what I mean? So, and taught me boxing. I can never repay him for that. So I'm not the type. I'm just not that guy. You know what I'm saying? We traded for QW because Osa wasn't at that level. The fact that Kenny needed help was all we needed to see. That was true. All right. I'm working my way down. Has anyone watched Red Murdoch? No, I haven't. Someone said Murdoch is nice, though. Tackles for loss take away offense's ability to control the line of scrimmage and tempo of the game. They also speed up the QB and cause him to lose faith in the protection. That's facts. And it destroys your play actions. If you can do that, like we're not running certain plays because they're stopping the ball behind the line of scrimmage. And now that quarterback's in hell on the next play, you can pretty much guarantee you get a tackle for loss, you're not getting another run play. So you get a tackle for loss on a first down, you just made the offense one predictable on more or one dimensional and predictable on second down and third down. Get what I'm saying? On second down, they're throwing the ball now, and they're throwing the ball intermediately, probably, or a screen or something that they think will get them 5-6 yards to try to get those yards back immediately, right? So you just put them behind the 8 ball if you get a tackle for loss on first down. If you get a sack on first down, it does that too, obviously. But that means they were passing on first down. But you can get a tackle for loss versus the run on first down. You know what they're doing the next 2 plays. Who says he isn't already Wayne? All we know of the brother is what he allows us to see. For the discerning eye, he could very well be that with his analysis and jewels he drops. He's not all sports. Oh, that's facts, Reezy. But good point, Wayne and Reezy. Yeah, I just explained. Like I said, I was a minister in college. I just stopped. Your grading is more thorough than they were doing. Yeah, true. Okoye was looking at everything. They were looking using the limited range. They weren't looking at the run at all. They looked at the run second, not first. Had I looked at the run second and not first, I probably would have tried to find a way to justify him being on this team too. I'm not gonna lie, I would. But I looked at run first because I build from the ground up. So it's like, okay, can you do what gets you to sacks? Because you ain't getting no sacks if it's always third and 2. You know what I mean? You ain't getting no sacks. So can you get me to sacks in the first place? Meaning, because you're gonna come in here and start. Are you a liability, or can you get me to the point where we can get to third and long? And I don't think he can. So that was my problem. I didn't even bother looking at the pass rushes after that until the day of the second show. I watched it that day. Okay. He said 12 sacks on one leg is impressive, though. That's facts. He said we lost 11 last year, but 90 was the biggest loss. Yeah, you're right, Tyson. West, I feel like 5 of my homies been smoked in the last year, and this fickle ass fan base just won't let the wound close. That's how I feel. Well, it's crazy because in 2020 I lost 5 family members that year, and this fickle fan base was cursing me out, driving me crazy that year, man. I remember that. Everybody was dying that year for me. And I'm talking about real life. I was like, damn, but I understand what you're saying. Collier said it right. If you look at dude's pass rush first, you get thirsty. When you see him limping and hopping backside and walking while the ball is live versus run first, then you understand where Collier came from. Yeah. I said, I don't need to see no more than that. I don't want that. That Osa trade was dirty business to me, knowing he could have gotten more last season to sign with Washington. You keep them folks, in my opinion. What happened to players over scheme? I don't believe in players over scheme. I believe in, obviously you build your scheme around the player. So I guess I do believe in players over scheme. I gotta take that back. But I don't believe in falling in love with the player over team. Ain't nobody bigger than the team. And to be honest, I don't understand why people are so pissed off about the Osa conversation. I mean, you put on film what you put on film. It's up to you. I was like, you heard me arguing for Kenneth Murray, but Murray didn't show up. You know when I stopped arguing for Kenneth Murray? When he hit Herbert and didn't sack him. If he would have so he was gaining favor. People were starting to listen. They were watching what he did against Oakland. They're like, damn, look at him open his hips and call that interception. Boom, he's doing some things. Then when we playing the 5-man fronts, he was running the grass because he's a guesser. He started making some tackles. I'm like, okay. Then he had that chance to blow up Justin Herbert. If he would have blew up Justin Herbert, people would have left him alone. I can talk about what you do and what your skill sets are all day, but you got to show up and do it. I like Osa. I broke Osa down. I said Osa one-on-one he's a great pass rusher from 3-tech. But if you keep getting pancaked or pushed out of your gap versus run, I mean, that's you doing that. So regardless of how much you could have got in Washington, they didn't know that when he took the deal that he was going to come into last season, him, Mozzie, and Kenny Clark wouldn't be able to win games. Now, if Osa and those guys were stopping the run and winning games, do you go even get Quinnen Williams if Osa's doing what Quinnen Williams is coming here to do? No, but it's up to him to do it. So if he's not doing it, I can love you all day. You could have just bought a house all day, but you ain't doing the job, buddy. You're not over the team. It don't matter who you are. I look at Micah Parsons as a disappointment, in my opinion, while he was here. And the reason being, Micah Parsons is a middle linebacker who can pass rush. I don't care what. He's Arvell Reese, but better. Right now, I don't know. Reese might have a better career. Who knows? But he's Arvell Reese. But he wasn't watching film. He wasn't in the linebacker room learning his true position. So he was relegated due to deterioration between the ears to defensive end because he was only relying on his athleticism there. But if he would have been a cerebral guy who understands everything that's going on the field, he's the green dot guy that knows what everybody's doing. Plus, he's a guy that understands his effect when he's mugging the line of scrimmage. Micah Parsons could destroy games if he was a chess player and not just a freak athlete. But when you go red shirt your senior year in college, you're not playing linebacker. You're not in the linebacker room that day, right? So you didn't get any linebacker training. Your rookie year, you were getting trained as a linebacker, right? But then someone gets hurt, and now we need you as a pass rusher, right? So now you're halftime. Yeah, half a season in linebacker in his rookie year. Your second year, we know you can pass rush. You're pass rushing way more, right? You're not playing linebacker almost at all, right? Or you're loafing at linebacker, okay? And you don't understand what's going on. So Quinn's like, get him out of there. Give me a guy that knows what the play is, and let Micah Parsons just pass rush. But that's 3 years removed. Then your third year, same thing. Now you've led the league in pressures. So now you're just a defensive end and you're trying to get a check. So fourth year, boom, here we go. So he went 4 or 5 years without learning his true position. So now he's stuck playing defensive end because he's not a linebacker anymore mentally. That's a problem. That's a disappointment. And that's why I didn't care about Micah Parsons leaving. I think he's still my favorite player, but people don't understand what could have been if Micah Parsons would have learned his true position. There's nothing like that I've ever seen in the league. They're trying to recreate it now, but nothing like that. Nothing like that. That's crazy. He said, unless he requested a trade, that's a different story. Nah, we didn't owe Osa nothing. What they did owe him, though, is not to try to do him dirty. They ain't send him to a bum team. They sent him to a lineal winner. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we so caught up in the 3-4 switch, like it's the 90s. You're nickel 90% of the game anyway. Like, what are we even talking about? Oh, see, you gonna make me pull out film when I said I gotta go, right? Watch the Detroit game and tell me nickel is stopping runs, bro. Like they ran right at Osa even in the nickel. You got to be able to stop the run even there. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it even there. West Coast said, "You a natural." So are you, bro. But yeah, I appreciate that. But I wasn't a natural. I wasn't as natural as you thought, bro. I used to be on your show drunk, man. I'll be on there arguing with people because I take not I won't even say drunk. I'm not a drunkard. I never get drunk. But I would take a shot or two before the show to take the edge off because I used to be nervous as hell to get on live, man. You just didn't see that, but I was nervous. And I used to be so confrontational because I thought that being proven wrong was like losing. So that's why I used to rely on the film. And then I'm confrontational because it's like I did 10 hours of film to make sure I'm right and you still talking. So then I'll be like, hold up. You know what I mean? I'll be defend my points viciously, right? Not viciously like being mean, but I just wouldn't give up, right? But now I can understand, like, we can agree to disagree, but let the film speak for itself. And you got to show me some film, though. Like John Owing. John Owing's my guy. I like him, right? But when you tell me that I'm wrong about something, don't show me highlights. Show me lowlights. Show me the good, the bad, and ugly for any player. When I just did the Bain breakdown, I showed Bain getting pancaked. I showed Mesidor getting pancaked. I showed them getting gripped up. I showed them getting boxed out. But I also showed them winning, right? So you can see the things they need to work on, and you also see the things they do exceptionally well. If you just show me what they do well, and then tell me that I'm wrong about what a guy like Osa or somebody needed to work on, but don't show me yourself. Well, you tell me what he needed to work on then. Show me the film of him doing something that you deem wrong, because it can't be everything he was doing was right and there's no wrong. I will show you what Kenneth Murray's doing wrong. I will show you what Mozzie was doing wrong. I'll show you what Boss Man Fast's doing wrong. So even if I defend a player, I'm defending what they do well in their upside versus what they do wrong. Not saying they do no wrong and they only do right. That's highlights. That's highlights. You got to give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to. Got to. Otherwise, it don't mean a thing. I don't care what you're saying. Like, if you show me just lowlights, that's what they were doing to Murray. That was my problem. If you just show me lowlights, he played in 60 snaps, and you show me the 2 tackles he missed or the touchdown he gave up, but you don't show me the other plays that he did make, then it looks like this person is just super trash. Whereas they've done other good things in the game. But why aren't you talking about that? But if you encompass that, I won't say anything. If you say, yo, this is what he does well, and this is what he did well this game, and this is what he's being asked to do, and this is where he fails, or this is where he falls short, that's fine with me. You know what I mean? That's fine with me. I'm not gonna say nothing. I like playing Call of Duty online. Y'all going in about anything. I really do got to go. I'm gonna get to the super chat, and then I'm gonna try to get to the bottom and say what's up, because I got to go to the bank before it closes. Yo, Okoye, you handle yourself with class on the ball show. Keep rocking. You do great work. Thank you, Richard Coleman. That's my guy. I remember you, Rich. He said, Okoye like a professor educating the masses. Oh, man. Thank you, man. I really do appreciate all that, man. Hey, fam, what's the difference between Mesidor and Harold Perkins Jr.? Nobody loves you like God did. Everybody doing that. Everybody's super religious in here, huh? Praise God. Harold Perkins Jr., I gotta watch his film. I don't know his film. I just watched Mesidor's film. I haven't watched Harold Perkins' film, so I can't judge a guy that I haven't watched. I wanted Aziz in free agency last year. Folks laughed at me. I like Aziz. Okoye, you seen they took down GHB TV? Why? Greg Hackett? I didn't see they took it down, but I will check it out. Greg, my man. That's why I enjoy his shit, Reezy. I love different perspectives, and the MF are not afraid to stand on a mountain by themselves and say, hey, I see it differently. If you can't do that, then, you just a worker and your boss is my man, so to speak, right? Like, you might as well just take my name. You know what I mean? I might as well just take my surname. You know what I mean? My name wouldn't be what it is if I'm just going to follow whatever you say, or you say. You know what I mean? You got to be able to stand on something, like find something worth living for or worth dying for, and then live for it. And if you find the truth and that's what you stand on it. It ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Even if I get embarrassed sometimes when people be like, saying certain, I don't get embarrassed, should I say. I don't feel it, but I know it'd be like, I'm out here by myself. I feel that, you know what I mean? But I don't get mad at it because I'm like, I understand. Like everybody, I'm not here to talk to everybody. It's those who have ears, let them hear. So the ones who understand what I'm talking about, they get it. The ones who don't, you just want to argue. I wasn't going to convince you anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know, they say, what do laws say? Those convinced against their will are still of the opinion still, or are of the opinion still, something like that. I like that saying because of the truth. In this corner, old ninja, Okoye, exactly. Old ninja. You know what I mean? He said, F Jerry, CP and Shotty on thin ice with me. I don't like to be lied to. Nah, you getting in your feelings. It's about the players and do they fit. You would rather have Osa here to make him feel better about not going to Washington and stick by his side while he getting run through like a $2 hooker. Come on, man. Come on, man. You gotta take the good with the bad, man. You gotta be able to. First off, the thing I like about coaches, especially guys like, first of all, you're not gonna tell everybody everything in the public what you're doing. So you being lied to anyway. Right now, you're being lied to. They're not gonna tell you. They're not gonna tell me because other teams is listening. Why the hell would I tell everybody what I'm planning on doing? So you're not gonna get that anyway from a coach in the media. If you're looking for that, you're wrong already. But two is I like Parcells. Parcells is, if you did something wrong, Parcells will get you out of here. You did something wrong, Jimmy Johnson will get you out of here. I like the idea that if you're not a fit for what I'm doing, get out. That's in life. Don't waste time with things, people, places, or things that ain't suited for what you're doing. That don't make them bad. That don't make you your enemy. Might not be your cup of tea, but they might get up out of here, though. You know what I mean? They can get up out of here for sure. They said Okoye dropping consistently. What the fuck? Yeah, man. I'm gonna keep doing it. He said, my life loved it when you said that sacks are a privilege. Oh, that's a fact. They are, man. And shout out to the missus, man. But yeah, sacks are a privilege. You don't just get to go pin your ears back. You better prove that you can stop the run, and then they're gonna have to throw it. And now you go do what you gotta do. Hi, Okoye. Glad to see that you're back on. Love your content, man. Very straight to the point, no fluff. I love it, man. You're my first go-to for info. Thank you. Don't go to me for info though, because I don't watch TV. I break down the people and the players and the narratives, but I couldn't tell you. Like they just told me Aziz is a guy they looking at right now. So y'all telling me something. I don't know. I'm not watching it. You know what I'm saying? I don't watch. All right. Let me get down. I'm almost damn, yo. I appreciate it. Y'all really going. Okoye, you have had a chance to look at Shad Banks Jr. Nope. I haven't looked at any college players other than the ones that are in the top 20 because of the fact that we got 2 picks there. I don't look at the third. If it's a third round pick, something like that, I'll start looking closer to the draft based on what I think we'll do in the first round. You think they could have used Parsons how the Chargers used Sean Merriman? They could have used Parsons how teams used who plays like Parsons? Like Parsons. They could have used Parsons like Parsons in college. He played middle, he played will, he played outside, he played DN, he played 3-tech. That's how you use them. Put them everywhere, depending on the situations, and let them eat. But first and second down, they got to be at the middle linebacker position because then you can't run. You could play nickel all day if Parsons is at middle, because if he's at middle playing zone and you have him mugging the line of scrimmage or blitzing, you don't know what he's doing. And then he's still able to stop the run from nickel. You don't even need, you got 4 guys in front of him that's keeping guys off of him, and he's able to stop the run from there. They think they could have, you asked me that. That was a super chat. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going. All right. Facts, don't need wasting time. If you're not a fit here, it's best for all parties to part ways as soon as possible. That's a fact. All right. I do got to go though, y'all. So salute. Appreciate you, Sadiqa. Appreciate everybody who was really going in. Y'all really, really definitely touched my heart today, man, because y'all been in here talking, having great conversation. He said, let me see this. He said, yeah, Greg, somebody put a porn up while he was live, took his whole John. I'm sick. Dang. How did they do that? Who did that? How did they take his page for that? Did he did it? Or somebody on his channel did it? That's wild. Don't do that. I'll see him soon, though. Like I said, I see Greg all the time. I just seen him the other day. My fighter is going to be sparring his guy, Jabril Nobles. I like Jabril. That's one of the guys he trains. I like him. We were in the amateur circuit together with my guys. But, yeah, I'll see him soon. But, yeah, that's crazy. I'll reach out to him. All right, y'all. Peace.